Okay, so Newcastle managed to beat Spurs by 2-1 on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, quite late with these. It's currently Tuesday. Yeah, still hadn't recovered from the Arsenal game, so these are late, these ones. So yeah, 2-1 to Newcastle. I have to say, from watching that game, Spurs were better. I think Spurs did have good spells, especially in the second half where they should have gone in front. They deservedly levelled it up when it was 1-0, but they'll be kicking themselves that they didn't win that game or even collect at least the draw. But Newcastle went in front in the first half of Harvey Barnes. Good for him to get back on the score sheet because he's a good player, and I hope he can actually show his Leicester form at some point for Newcastle this season because he is a good player. And people have forgotten about Harvey Barnes because you've got Gordon, you've got Isak, you've got yeah, who else is there? Almiron's still there, but yeah, Harvey Barnes needs to make sure that he's in that conversation. So he's back now, and he got a good goal, very good goal. And then what happened was Spurs just came into it, they grew, and then they got that equaliser with the own goal from Dan Burn, and it was all Spurs, all Spurs. And there was only one team for me that was going to win that game, and it was Spurs. They were on top of it. They were all over Newcastle. And then out of nothing, Spurs switch off. Joe Linton puts Jacob Murphy through. He lays it on a play for Isak, and it's 2-1. Newcastle go and win the game. That is where my reservations were with Spurs at the start of the season, why I said they need to buy some senior pros, because I'll tell you what Spurs are like. Spurs are what Arsenal were from around 2007 to 2011. Played brilliant football, but no backbone, no fight, no passion, just weak. Very, very weak team, you know, and naive, very naive. You'll always bank Spurs to batter an Everton at home or get a couple of hammerings at home against lesser teams. I don't doubt that. But when the going gets tough, when they're under the cosh, this Spurs team has proved under Ange that it capitulates. It just does. Spurs should never have lost that game. Never have lost that game. And they did. It was naive. Yeah, and Spurs have dropped points twice this season already. But most teams do drop points at Newcastle, so I'm not gonna only say that's the one where, you know, Spurs have performed badly. But it was the Leicester game, for me, and then you add it on to Newcastle. That's where it becomes a bit of a problem. Yeah, Newcastle weren't winning that game. There was no chance. But fair play to Newcastle that's the difference between a team that fights and a team that doesn't fight. Newcastle were under the cosh, and they made sure they were not going to lose that game. And they went even better and they won it. And Tonali looked very good as well. Yeah, Newcastle, very good start for them. 2 wins and a draw. Yeah, I was very optimistic of Newcastle at the start of the season. I stand by that. I do think they'll get in the top 5 this season. I'm very impressed with Newcastle. It was a little bit concerning that they allowed Spurs to have such control of that second half, but Newcastle went and won the game. Spurs didn't. So fair play to Newcastle. They keep doing it. They missed out on Guehi, which was a bit of a shame. The transfer window wasn't great for Newcastle when you think about it. In the end, from what they thought it was going to be, it was slightly underwhelming. But I still think they've got wonderful players there, and I think they'll definitely have a good season. And yeah, what epitomises Newcastle's fight is last 5 minutes when you see Bruno geeing up the crowd, and just that's what you need. You need players like that who is not just doing it just for clout, not doing it just to say, oh, look at me, but players who are actually very, very good and do that. You know, it shows that, you know, Bruno's a wonderful player, and Newcastle are lucky to have him. And yeah, fair play to Newcastle, man. They got their win, and yeah, in the end, probably wasn't deserved if we're talking about general play, but they're the winners. They fought hard for it, and yeah, I hope they can kick on and really win more matches, because yeah, they play good football. They're a nice team. So yeah, fair play to Newcastle.